Thanks. So this is the final gathering of the first stage of energy transition, as Monica took us to at the start of this session. And the conversation is now, where does it go, and is there public confidence in energy transition? So let me guide my comments there to what's ahead. And, you know, I raised a question yesterday evening, and I said, there isn't public confidence here. So we begin this process of transition with a deficit in confidence. And it's not just about energy. It's about almost anything in society, not just Western, but also in emerging economies, and certainly true of every part of Canada, where the average person and the communities they belong to, which may be familial, geographic, interest, economic, approach a question by saying, from a standpoint of skepticism, and says, if I'm hearing this and someone's telling me that we should go there, I'm not sure I believe that. So we're moving into a process of energy transition, and we already have a deficit in confidence. Now, there is a definition of, if you keep doing the same thing again and again and expect a different result, it's a definition of mental illness. Do we really expect that the way we're doing things now will get us more confidence and get a different result in a process that is even going to be more complex of energy transition than we had for the past decade and a half? And aside of the immediate issues before us, like Kinder Morgan and others, I'm not sure that's sufficient. You know, I'm on the board of ISSP, which is the Ontario Energy Agency, and we have the temerity to say that we are the trusted advisor on energy to the Ontario government. I'm not sure who decided that. I think we did. I mean, Louis, you said in your remarks yesterday that, you know, people trust regulators. Who says that? Who says you're an honest broker? Who says that you speak in the public interest? Justin Trudeau says he speaks in the public interest, and most people say, I'm not sure I believe him, or a large majority say that. Or who says it's the national priority? Who says there's climate justice? And I say, well, do I believe that? Our language and discourse is in a view that we're almost giving ourselves views to speak of what is truth, rather than realizing that certain things have changed, and certain things are going to even change and even more ahead in the next 3 to 5 to 10 years that require a different approach to engage people in the transition process. So what's changed? There are 3 big changes before us. One is that there's a different expectation of public discourse, and it's been driven largely by technology, and it's grounded, in fact, very much so where Meredith has been with the people that she works with, students. And so therefore, the natural skeptic has a place to go every second of every day and put that out into the universe. And just because you have opinion, it now becomes fact. Does sound like fake news, but it's out there in the universe. So the first thing that's changed is the nature of dialogue of publics, if you're trying to get their confidence, is not the way it used to be. And that change has been taking place for about 50 years. But it's grounded in the last couple of decades as technology has accentuated that. The second change is we know we're going through a dramatic evolution. You mentioned that on your comments. We're going through that energy evolution. So if we're dealing with that change and we want confidence in managing the change, that's going to be a challenge. The third thing is we've got economic dislocation. We've got large chunks of society that feel that they are not getting their fair share. Trump is a reaction. He's not a cause. He's a reaction to a view in the large chunk of the American public that is now very tribal. And it's not just in the American public. Think Turkey, think Russia. It's across the world, including in Canada, which says, you know what? I'm not sure I'm getting my fair share, so therefore I'm going to not trust anything I hear. If those changes are at work, do we expect that in the way we make energy decisions, we're largely working with a regulatory and policy framework that was crafted in the 1950s and 1960s? How's it working for us today? Sounds like expecting the same result, different result being the same thing. So therefore, the first question I think in transition is that if you want transition to occur, you have to look fundamentally at what is the nature and process in the regulatory and policy system, which has to deal with a different environment. But that's not the way we're approaching it. We're largely approaching it by saying, oh, we trust the regulatory system because we're your trusted advisors. No, that's not what people think. The second thing we've got is we've got a disconnect between the individual and government. There's been a sharp shift, and Nick's research has shown this. There's been a sharp shift that says we don't actually believe as individuals that government is looking at for our interest, nor business, nor anybody else. And so therefore, that healthy skepticism just gets accentuated. So, we have to look at public confidence in energy transitions. My shout out here is to looking at how, and I acknowledge my friend Kim Scott, who came up with a number of these terms who's here today. How do we look at this, and this I can speak to this to with the indigenous communities I work with and the non-indigenous communities. We have to look at energy, at public as energy prosumers, producers and consumers. We have to look at energy democracy means, how do I share in the benefits of the evolution that's occurring, the transitions that's occurring, and it fits to my primary interest. What I heard from Meredith is that some of those students are putting the solar up on the roofs are saying, my primary interest is to see how we deal with the climate future for enough, how I deal with potentially a career in clean energy. So I'm therefore going to give my time and help with that project, because it's a primary motivation of theirs. If you're looking to engage the public, you have to fulfill the primary motivations. And there has to be a direct line of sight. When a government minister says, well, you know, this project will generate tens of billions of dollars for our country, and you're going, well, I don't see it. So you have to have a line of sight to benefit. What they maybe should say is that income now is going to be earmarked, say, for example, from carbon financing or for taxes from energy production directly into your education or your healthcare system. I might start to believe you a little bit more. And so the direct participation means that we have as a requirement to engender public confidence, we have to realize that while the energy transition is occurring, there's two other changes that are required to engender public confidence. One is, how do we look at a radical change of an energy regulation and policy system that frankly dealt with silos, largely of electricity here and fuels and other materials over here, and now we've got a blended situation given the way supply and demand is working. So therefore, what the heck is the policy system that allows us to deal with that? If we don't begin to go there, there will be no public confidence, and more importantly, the change will be chaotic and painful. And latterly, we have to look at process. The process engagement has to recognize that we're in a Twitter world. We're in a world where every individual feels the power of their own communication. And if we don't think that way and don't realize that the process will require more time, more money, more intensity, and more ingenuity, that will also not engender confidence that we need. So that's my appeal in the future as we look to the next 3 years of the initiative and the public confidence in energy transition. It requires a change in the way we worked, so our change in policy and our change in process mirrors the change in the evolving energy system. Thanks.